Hello, ladies and gentlemen of the A-Push universe. I am Austin McComb, and this is my final project, the history of wrestling. One-on-one combat sports have been a vital part of every single culture in history since the dawn of time. In caves, you can find paintings depicting cavemen fighting, grappling. In ancient Rome, gladiators and Olympians fought each other for the entertainment of others. In fact, the whole idea of wrestling being predetermined and scripted and purely for entertainment is fairly new and has only been around for just shy of over 100 years. Right now I have my handy dandy, totally legit time machine. I want to take you back. So let's head on in. I'll see y'all soon. Whoa. Wow. The very first Olympic Games. So much history is here. Olympic wrestling was the very first sport in the Olympic Games that was not a foot race and has been in the Olympic Games since the very first one. One of the most notable people from this time period was Milo of Croton. He was one of the most famous wrestlers from this ancient time period. At one set of games, no one even dared to challenge him. Another noted champion is Leontiscus of Messene. He was not known for his very good wrestling skills. I hope he didn't hear me say that. But he was rather known for his superior finger-bending skills. He was able to bend right up to the point of disqualification and won 2 championships with this technique. Some of the rules of ancient Olympian wrestling are that 3 points must be scored to win the match. A point can be scored in any of 3 ways. Number 1, the opponent's back touches the ground at any point during the match. Number 2, by the opponent clearly either tapping out or making some sort of way to let the referee know that they concede and quit the match. Number 3, by the opponent making contact with the ground outside of the official wrestling match ground with any part of his or her body, or by being lifted and carried out of said area. Man, I would love to stick around at this historic event, but there is so much more that I really want to show you about the history of wrestling. Come on, let's hop back into the time machine. Here we are, guys. It's the early 1900s. We have fast-forwarded quite a bit, but pretty much until now, things stayed the same as they were back then. Now, things have finally started to become about entertainment, even though it was still largely seen as a legitimate sport. The idea of wrestling being portrayed as real, even though it's predetermined, is known as kayfabe. One of the most famous wrestlers during this era was Frank Gotch. He was credited for popularizing professional wrestling in the United States. His World Heavyweight Championship reign, which lasted from 1908 to 1913, is one of the longest in the history of wrestling. Gotch was a national sensation. He was in demand everywhere for public appearances. He started in a play called All About, and whenever he walked on stage, he was greeted by a standing ovation. He was invited to the White House by then-President Theodore Roosevelt. This dude was a huge deal. Huge. Some of his signature moves were the bridging belly to back suplex, his crossed knee lock, his toe hold, his ankle lock, and a double leg takedown. Another star from this era, arguably even a bigger star than Frank Gotch, was George Hackenschmidt. He is recognized as professional wrestling's first World Heavyweight Champion. He lived most of his life in London, England, where he gained the nickname of the Russian Lion. Hackenschmidt is believed to be the creator of the professional wrestling version of the bear hug, as well as the person who popularized the hack squat, a deadlift with arms behind the body. He was known for his impressive strength, fitness, and flexibility, and later in life he wrote many books on physical culture, training, and philosophy. Now you're probably wondering why I decided to talk about these two people, besides, you know, how immensely important they were to wrestling. It's because in 1911, they met up at what was one of the hugest matches of all time. Let's take a look at that match. Well, unfortunately, it's time to hop into the time machine for one last time to take you to the modern era. Come along. Here we are, guys, the modern era, where the WWE, or as it used to be known, the WWF, dominates the entire wrestling industry. Even though it's dominated by the WWE, the wrestling business is stronger and more alive than it has ever been in history. There are thousands of local indie promotions that get attention because wrestling is so mainstream now. I mean, wrestling, despite looking down upon sometimes, is more mainstream than it's ever been. I mean, partnerships with ESPN, celebrity partnerships. I mean, it's more popular than it's ever been in history. And it's been pretty darn popular in history. In 1985, Vince McMahon, the owner of the WWE, created WrestleMania, and it just had its 32nd annual installment. How huge is that? How huge is that? That's huge. Huge. Social media has let fans have a voice like never before. You don't need to go to an arena and chant to have your voice heard anymore. No, you can get on Twitter and you can make Monday Night Raw trend like crazy. Every pay-per-view is the #1 trend in the world. Every time there's a pay-per-view, it's the #1 trend. Look it up. That's a fact. Woo! I love wrestling so much. so very, 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 very much. And then I am Austin McComb. This has been my A-Push Final, the history of wrestling. You know, I would say I'll see you next year, but there's just one small problem there. You can't see me!